Next on Rugby Wrap-Up, keeping it Murican with USA Rugby Men's 15s head coach Gary Gold and the head honcho of the Can-Ams, one of the country's best tournaments, Cam Moody. Hey everybody, and welcome to Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City, and we have the pleasure of speaking with head coach Gary Gold of USA Rugby today. Coach, I wish we had different circumstances and more pleasant items to discuss than what the current situation you guys, USA Rugby, are in after the disappointing performances, I guess you'd say, or results against Chile, but we don't. But welcome to the show.
Yeah, Matt, thanks again for inviting me on your show. As you say, I've been on in much happier times than we're going through right now. But there's lots of lessons that people learn in adversity, and we're in the middle of adversity at the moment now. And I'm here to front up and take responsibility for what's gone on and fix it. Basically, let's fix it and fix it as soon as possible. And thank the good Lord above, we do have another chance. This time we've got to get it right, to go to Rugby World Cup next year. And it's not just because I think I'm a person who's positive by nature, but there are some silver linings right now. I appreciate that a lot of USA Rugby fans can't see those silver linings right now, but there's a few silver linings around what's going on at the moment. I wouldn't wish what's happened in the last year to my worst enemy, but we are where we are at the moment now, and let's dust ourselves off and get up and fix the job. And the silver linings are the fact that I think we're probably going to get to spend a lot more time together than we originally anticipated. And
you mean prior to November's repechage tournament?
We're hoping so. Yeah, we're hoping so. Plans are afoot at the moment now for that to try and be the case. Obviously, we don't have MLR at the moment now, so that's one thing that we're not going to have to be bothering clubs about using players. And the time is right now for us to actually try and spend some time together and get something in the diary to get some games done. I have no confirmation of any of that at the moment yet. It's still in the planning stages. And then what we do know is there are going to be 3 games in November, and that's going to be either Tonga or Hong Kong, and it's going to be Kenya, and it's going to be Portugal, and we're going to have to win all 3 of those games to qualify. And I'm still going to remain positive about this group of players, and there's a lot of things we got wrong, and we made mistakes. There's no shying away from that. I think it would be cowardly and unintelligent to try and shy away from that. But I'm not for 1 minute going to do that, and I'm definitely not going to make any excuses. We got it wrong. We got smacked in the face, as you like to say, and we have to fix it. But I still got a lot of faith in this group of players. They're good rugby players, good bunch of guys. And I think the more time we spend together, the quicker we can iron out these problems, and we can turn it around quickly. And dare I say it, you almost need to just take a team like Chile and have a look at them. Have a look at what they've been able to do over the last 12, 18 months in terms of spending time together, and look how much they've improved. And credit where it's due. Sometimes it's always difficult when you're the loser and you're the man lying on the floor and you've been knocked out. But sometimes you need to give credit to the people who've knocked you out. Pablo's done a good job with that group, and having spent the time that they've spent together, they've improved dramatically, certainly since we played against them only 2 years ago.
Coach, you brought up time together, and I'm not sure if people out there are aware, but since like March of 2021, if you consider the fact that 19 of the 23 matchday Chilean players play on the professional team in Superliga Selknam, 19 of those guys play together on the same team that comprise the Chilean roster, and they have played, that group basically has played like 33 games since March of 2021, whereas the Eagles have assembled, 8 or 9 times, including the match against the All Blacks and the match that never materialized against Ireland. You could argue that maybe some of those energies spent in those 2 matches should have been spent elsewhere, and you guys should have been playing a lot more, specifically in the November test window that went with not a single match.
Yeah, you spot on the money there. Again, I'm incredibly careful here that none of that ever gets seen as an excuse. I don't want that to be an excuse, but what you have said there are the facts. It is reality. That group have spent over 30 games together, and probably add another half a dozen additional pre-training weeks to that. So probably over 40 weeks together, and we haven't. But that's why I'm confident we can rectify things. I think there's a plan for us to spend time together and a substantial period of time and get those gains. Get those gains that Chilean group, as you mentioned, did get. And you're right. I mean, not having qualifiers last year where we obviously were successful against Canada but weren't against Uruguay in very similar circumstances, to then having lost our players, and when we had to play the New Zealand game because it was out of the Reg 9 window, it would have been a great opportunity for us to have reassembled in November, but it wasn't to be. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And again, that's in the past, and those are interesting lessons to learn, and they're lessons that I think we have learned. The organisation has learned, and certainly there's a real good intention and initiative for the organisation to be working really hard to get us to spend time together now, so that we can put together a realistic run of games now before we go into that November repechage window. That's what the plan is, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Let me walk you back to June of 2018. USA Rugby had arguably its biggest victory ever in beating Scotland in a boiling hot, humid Houston. I was there. It was an unbelievable moment, and you just felt like, okay, we're on the cusp of rising. If you had to look back, what would you say would be maybe a few things that impacted where we were then to where we find ourselves now?
That's a good question, Matt. No question of a doubt, as with everybody else, COVID, obviously, not having picked up a rugby ball post the 2019 Rugby World Cup for over a year was impactful. Other teams actually did get back to work a lot quicker. For example, SLAR and the MLR had a couple of games at the beginning of the year. Some teams did play. So the effect of COVID and how quickly we came back to playing was a factor. Again, I must stress other people were in similar situations. On top of that, obviously, USA going into bankruptcy put a halt on things for a while. And it was a little bit of one step forward, two steps back. In saying that, I want to say that I think there were quite a lot of things that were resolved during that period of time that are improved now. And that, believe it or not, even though it looks doomy and gloomy at the moment now, that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There's a new board in place at the moment now. The chairman's an unbelievably accomplished man. And I think there's some decent plans in place, and let's give a little bit of credit where it's due as well. Post coming out of bankruptcy, the powers that be have put together a pretty good program to get a men's and women's World Cup here in 8 or 9 years' time. So while we also just got to keep a bit of perspective, things aren't necessarily going well for the men's 15s team on the field right now, but the sevens could potentially be winning a World Cup this year. They've got a great program under Mike. The women's team are going to a World Cup this year. We're really excited about that. They've had some good results this year. Women's sevens team under M are also rapidly improving, and they could get a good result this year in the World Cup as well. So it's not all doom and gloom at the moment, although this is how sport works, Matt. You go through these ebbs and flows, and it does feel like that. I mean, I think pretty much if you picked up the phone to most of our New Zealand friends at the moment, they would feel the same way right now. They'd feel that New Zealand rugby's in the doldrums, is down and out. They've just lost a home series that had never ever happened in the last 20 years. So
I'd say everybody's wearing black there, but that's always the case.
Yeah, exactly. But so again, I just think it's important to keep perspective, and leaders need to keep perspective. And in an ideal world, I would love to have spent a lot more time together, as a group. It would have been great. It would have been great for us to be able to spend time together. And the good news is, as I said earlier, I think that is the plan, not necessarily just now for the next 3 or 4 months, but I think going forward there, in fact, I know there are really positive plans for the men's national team to spend significantly longer periods of time together, and probably in this half of the year. So 2024, post the July window, there's a plan for there to be another international competition over August, September, October, which will be another 4 to 6 weeks in camp, and then obviously the November window. And that pretty much will get us in line with, most teams in the world that are spending between 10 and 12 weeks a year together, and hopefully a couple more weeks of training facilities. And that's what everybody else is doing. We can't ask for more than that, because ultimately, these guys have got to go back to their clubs where they earn their money and where they play. And that is always going to consume large portions of their time during the course of the year. So I'd say those 3 factors, and it's been a little bit of a perfect storm that's hit us. And and as I say, I'm just very blessed and very grateful that we've got one more chance at this. And funny things come out of adverse times, and people grow, and they get better by making mistakes and learning and taking responsibility. And that's all I really want us to do at the moment now, is just focus on getting better, focus on learning from our mistakes, and have a no excuses environment. And there was a lot of things that happened that were avoidable.
Some mental meltdowns, perhaps, that
possibly, but issues that we need to take responsibility for, and it starts with me. I'm not going to sit here and throw players under the bus. It doesn't work like that. It starts with me, and I'll take responsibility for that, and I'll take the same responsibility to fix it.
All right, Coach, we have to take a quick break. We'll be right back in a second with Coach Gary Gold of Team USA.
Looking for your next vehicle? With Shee's Easy Search, choose from over 3,000 new and used vehicles. Shop, trade, or buy online or in store. We make it easy with our award-winning service.
It's easy at Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
And we are back with Gary Gold, head coach of USA Rugby's men's 15s. Gary, last question. What do you need to happen between now and November for you and the Eagles to have the best chance at qualifying for Rugby World Cup 2023?
So I think we've touched on it a little bit indirectly earlier on this conversation, Matt, and the issues that we need to spend time together as a group, a longer period of time, not assembling on a Sunday and playing on a Saturday, which we are planning on doing. We spend time together, we review, we train really, really hard, and we train smart. We train correct habits. We train the fact that silly errors in discipline are going to cost us significantly in tight test matches. We take responsibility as a group that if we say we're going to do something, then all 15 guys need to be on the same page, and the coaching staff all at exactly the same time. And, that you build from spending time together as a group, that you build from repetition, being able to play on a reasonably consistent basis week in and week out, where you can have a level of opposition who are going to test you week in and week out, and you can keep going back, so that it's not necessarily, in this case, pressure pot situations where you go down to Santiago and win by a point in conditions like we had, and then you're coming back here and you're kicking for goal to win the game and qualify for World Cup, and the TMO intervenes and there's a foul play call, and then all of a sudden the game's over. So we need to be putting ourselves into position that at 19-0 we're growing the lead and we are ticking the scoreboard over the whole time, not
the foot on the throat, so to speak.
Yes, keeping our foot on the throat, learning what what that momentum that we've worked so hard for 31 minutes and played really well, really well for 31 minutes to get yourself against a very good Chilean team, get yourself into 19-0 lead. And we just need to keep that momentum ticking over, whether that's kicking to the corner and making sure we call the right line out and execute the drive, or whether it's kicking a goal, or whether it's playing field position, or whether it's holding onto the ball and not losing the ball carelessly in a contact situation, whatever that is, and spending time together, being able to drill
Kicking it
that.
into touch.
Yeah. All of the above, and just being able to rep that as much as possible, because that's what builds cohesion, Matt. Whether we like that or not, it's not the romantic answer. It's not the answer people want to hear, but that's to your point earlier about teams who play together and spend a lot of time together, is that's what happens with this cohesion. Is the cohesion starts to build, and you have people who say that you watch a team and they just seem to have so much time on the ball and they almost read each other. Well, it does become like that. It does become telepathic when you spend enough time together. Our goal is to really use these next 3-4 months to try and assemble as much as possible, try and get in as many games as we possibly can, try and push our standards to as high as we possibly can. And we know we can get there because, to your very point, we've been there. We've been there in 2018. We were there for large portions of 2019 as well. We know that this group of players can do it, and we know that we can drive those standards. We're looking forward to just getting back onto the training field and showing some courage, showing some pride, real pride in this jersey, and how much it means for us to want to get into this Rugby World Cup, to prove to the USA public that how much we are hurting about the fact that we let you down on the weekend, and the best way to show that is to go out and prove it on the field, that you're prepared to leave it all out there, and that the rugby public are seeing that you're a group who are really passionate for wanting to turn this thing around and fix it and want to get into a Rugby World Cup. Once that's happened, then we need to kick it up a gear, and we need to, because we don't want to just go to another Rugby World Cup and make up the numbers again. This is not the first time USA Rugby have had to go through a repechage. The organization's been there, we've done it, and we need to step up to the plate. It's just as simple as that.
Just briefly before I let you go, Coach, explain to me the repechage. You have to win all 3 of your matches, or is it a point thing?
It's a point thing. So we will be playing those 3 teams. They'll play each other as well. Everybody plays each other. But my understanding is it's you'll get 4 points for a win, and I'm assuming you'll get a try bonus point as well. And possibly a point for ending within 7. And, you can possibly get 5 points for a win and a bonus point if you deny the opposition. And then at the end of the 3 rounds, the team who've got the most points goes to the Rugby World Cup. You've got to win all 3 games.
Yeah, control your own destiny. But I'll tell you what, it's not something the American rugby fan wanted, but you want to watch something with real consequences for wins and losses. This repechage tournament coming up in November is something you need to target on your calendars and wear your red, white, and blue out there. Coach, I appreciate you coming on. If it's any consolation, there have been 2 polls out this week, and the polls back you as remaining as the head coach. So if the powers that be are listening out there, let Gary and the guys finish the mission and qualify for this World Cup in 2023. Coach Gary Gold, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Matty. Appreciate your time.
All right, we'll be right back.
Rugby Now, delivering premier brands to players and coaches. Our quality and heritage make for a winning presentation. Your orders are guaranteed same-day shipping. Drop by our online store and follow us for exclusive content. RugbyNow.com.
Been blind since I was 4, and I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste, and my beer's Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
are back, and we're keeping the Murican with one of my favorite rugby tournaments on the planet, the Can-Ams, up in Saranac and Lake Placid again this year. And we have none other than Mr. Cam Moody, who's charged with getting the whole thing off the ground. Cam, welcome to the show.
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Cam, for the folks that don't know, that have been in a coma or living in a cave, the Can-Ams, Can is Canadian, Am is American, and it's, you know, it was originally started in the early 70s by guys like John Morgan and his 75 brothers, and John Prusmack, the late, great John Prusmack, who started the Vegas Sevens or was responsible for moving the Sevens to Vegas, two rugby nuts. And here we are all these years later with this great tournament still going on. Give me the skinny on how many teams and how they break down categorically.
So we're going to be right back near 100 teams again this year. Which is great because first time back at that number since COVID. We've got some Canadian teams finally able to cross the border again and coming back. We're going to have everything from over 35s men's divisions to over 60s divisions on Friday.
Yikes.
And then Saturday starts the club and social divisions for men and women. And then Sunday is Championship Sunday, and all those teams are going to get to compete for the titles, and it's going to be a great weekend of rugby.
Now, I understand the configuration's a little bit different because we don't have the school, the community college, I guess, and the bowl, but you guys got some innovative ideas.
Yeah, so all of our championships are going to be played in Saranac Lake on Sunday. We're going to have the Ken Wilson football field set up for the live streaming of the over 35s. The women's championship and the men's social and club championships. And during that time, we're actually going to set up at Riverside Park in Saranac Lake, just down the street from the fields, with a Can-Am carnival. We're going to have the games live streamed down there. We're going to have a beer tent set up by Raybrook Brewery. And we're going to have some bouncy houses for the kids, some face paintings, some caricatures, some local groups out doing some bake sales and things like that. Try and involve the whole community as well as the rugby players in a great family-friendly environment.
I really, I'm a fan of the Wrestle the Grizzly attraction that you'll have in that tent. That's pretty cool. We got to, you know, get some dumb old props in there and wrestle the Grizzly.
Absolutely. And there's no better setting than the lakeside in Saranac Lake. You know, it's going to be a beautiful atmosphere and should really be a great time.
Is that walking distance from the pitches, would you say? Or how far is it from the pitches where that'll be set up?
There's a good sized hill you got to walk down. So, you know, your legs are going to be a little tired, but it's definitely walking distance just down at the bottom of the hill, right outside of downtown Saranac Lake. So there's restaurants you can walk to. There's other bars you can check out. There's downtown shopping. It's really going to involve the whole community this way, and we're excited for it.
All right. How many men's and how many women's teams do we have?
So we have 48 men's teams. They're split into social as 32 teams, and the club side is going to be 16. And then we've got 24 women's teams this year, all competing for the women's championship.
And we're going to live stream on Sunday, correct?
Yeah. So live stream's going to start with the over 35s championship at 11 a.m. And that's really one of the most competitive divisions that we have. You know, so it's going to be a lot of fun there. And even the Eastside Hyenas are going to have an over 35s team in this year, as well as the Mountaineers putting in a local over 35s team for the first time. So should be fun to watch that one.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I have the honor of being in the box, calling the match and dragging in involuntary volunteers to work with me, like the likes of Greg Gilliam in the past and short bus Bill Bishop of the Connecticut Gray, the legend there. But we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's going to be spectacular, Cam. Spectacular.
It's going to be a beautiful weekend. We're all going to have a great time. Lots of rugby for everybody, and a lot of fun off the field as well. So
we can't gloss over the fact that there's a new sponsor.
There is a new sponsor this year that we're very excited about, especially for off the field, is Clonakilty Irish Whiskey. And they're going to be serving some signature cocktails around town and in Lake Placid. They're going to have some tastings set up at a liquor store in Lake Placid, Terry Robards, on Friday and Saturday. And they'll be around the fields probably handing out some samples. And you can pre-order that through the liquor store. The teams are going to be really, really in love with that. I think it's a great product. And hopefully they're going to have a great time for us this year off the field.
Beautiful. I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you. What's the website people can go to?
So it's canamrugby.com.
Social media, what do we got? Any handles?
Yeah, Can-Am Rugby Tournament is on Facebook and Instagram. And so this week, the schedule will be live on the website, so everybody can go check that out probably Monday of next week. And there's also a page on there if you're looking for a team. If you're just trying to find some minutes coming up by yourself, you can fill out a contact spot so the teams can reach out to you and get you in there for some subs and get you playing some minutes. So
Rugby horror is welcomed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Great stuff. Cam, looking forward to seeing you. Mr. Cam Moody of the Can-Ams.
Thanks, Matt. See you soon.
On that note, we are out of time, but please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, join our weekly newsletter, and check out our other shows, including the Rugby Odds, our college rugby wrap-up. Please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please, please, please sign up for our American Red Cross blood donor team.